Okay, everybody, I am going to give you probably one of your favorite lectures because it's a lot of definitions. So it's my All Saints Day gift to you. So here we go. Let's talk about the cell. So this lecture is going to be primarily on the organelles, the cell parts. We're going to talk about how things move in and out of the cell next time. Cell theory. We talked about this already. So there's three main parts of the cell theory. All living things are made of cells. Cells are the basic unit and structure and function in an organism, and they come from other cells. So put that, oh my God, if you guys want to write that down, do you want to write that down? Maybe like underline and highlight things? Just kidding. So I'm going to run through the main parts of the cell. First one, so we're just going to kind of fly through this. If you have any questions, what I want you to do is I want you to bring in some questions, and I'm going to take them, and we're going to talk about them in class tomorrow. So the nucleus basically controls the function. It is the boss of the cell. It is, as you guys saw in the microscopes, it's the largest part of the cell. It's the most prominent. And its main goal is to protect that DNA as well as to ensure that that DNA gets replicated. Because remember, the DNA is kind of like the Holy Grail. It's what makes you, you. So, like, I think about, like, all those Indiana Jones, like, booby traps, right? That's kind of what the cell does to ensure that the DNA is safe. It was all these different, like, I don't know, like, fun traps to make sure that Indiana Jones doesn't steal the DNA. You get the idea. So, and there we go. Okay, so here's the thing. So yeah, DNA is in there. DNA is a large molecule, and DNA cannot leave the nucleus, and that'll become more important as we move on talking about the cell. So it's surrounded by a nuclear envelope that, like the plasma membrane, like the cell membrane, allows things to go in and out of the cell. It's very picky, selectively permeable, right? So it allows things to go in and out, but it's very picky what it allows to go in and out. In the center of the nucleus, we saw is a nucleolus. This is where the majority of DNA is concentrated, and this is where RNA is made. So that's important because RNA plays an important role in making proteins. Cytoplasm, it's like that jelly-like material that surrounds all the organelles. It kind of keeps them in place, makes sure they're, occasionally it helps move things around, but for the most part, it kind of keeps the cell together. Mitochondria. So you guys know this is the powerhouse of the cell. It makes energy. So we know that we get energy from glucose. We know that that's our main source of energy. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Okay, wait. And we're back. So we know that glucose makes energy. So hello, writing on the lecture. Glucose is a big, big molecule. So what the mitochondria does, glucose goes in the mitochondria and it comes out as this molecule called ATP. And we'll talk more about that too. And that's what our body can use for energy. Our body can't use glucose as is because it is too large of a molecule. It has to break it down into a molecule called ATP, and that happens in the mitochondria, which is why we call it the powerhouse of the cell. Ribosomes or ribosomes, so their big job is the proteins, right? They make the proteins, and we know that proteins are vital to life. They help facilitate all the chemical reactions. They are the building blocks of everything, right? So ribosomes are all over the place. They attach to the rough endoplasmic reticulum, but you're going to find them basically all throughout the cell. ER. So ER, the rough ER, is the one with ribosomes. The smooth ERs is without. And they have, the ER has very specific job in terms of packaging proteins and lipids, okay? So their job basically is to construct, make sure that they're the right shape, and make sure they move on to the next part of the cell, so they can go out of the cell and go forth and set the world on fire, just like St. Ignatius would would have wanted. So it's kind of like you guys are like the little proteins, and we at Loyola Academy are the endoplasmic reticulum, and our job is to form you so you can go out and do amazing things with your life. Oh my God, I've just come up with this stuff, guys. I didn't even write that down. I'm just winging it. The Golgi apparatus, or the Golgi body. Again, very similar to the endoplasmic reticulum in that they look like, they're very similar, right? But what the Golgi does is that you see how there's these little things? So these are the little vessels or vesicles and there's proteins in there, and they help to move them out of the cell. That's the Golgi's body. We call this, the Golgi in the ER, the endomembrane system. Endo meaning in, membrane meaning membrane. So you have the endomembrane system, and we're talking primarily about the endoplasmic reticulum and the Golgi bodies, or the Golgi apparatus. What its job is, it's to modify, to package, and to move lipids and proteins around. Couple things, like I said. Proteins are made in the ribosomes. They're then modified in the rough ER. That's why you see them attached to the rough ER. Okay? Carbs and lipids, however, are going to be synthesized in the smooth ER. So after the lipids and the proteins are made, they're sorted through the Golgi bodies. So they go from the ribosome to the Golgi bodies, and the Golgi bodies are the ones that make sure that it gets shipped out. Okay? They're the ones that make sure that those proteins leave the cell, those lipids leave the cell, so they can go on and do what they need to do. All right, vessels, right, vesicles. So there's two main ones that we're going to talk about. Lysosomes are basically, they get rid of waste. So their job is to remove waste. Garbage, they're kind of like our garbage, our sanitary system, okay? Peroxisomes are getting rid of free radicals. So if there's some like nonsense running around the cell, peroxisomes take that and they make sure they neutralize it. They break that down so it can't cause harm to any other of the organelles or the cell. Cytoskeleton. Okay, so their big job, the cytoskeleton's big job is shape and structure. So you're going to want to make sure that it's giving the cell its shape, okay? And it also helps sometimes with movement. It also helps, we'll see it comes into play with cell division. So they're the, I hope I spelled division right, cell division or mitosis. They really come into play when we talk about that. But for the most part, the cytoskeleton, they're just like these little tubes and filaments, these little like fibers almost in the cytoplasm that help to give the cell some structure. So these are going to be some things, we primarily see them on prokaryotes. So we got the flagella, cilia, their flagella's larger, cilia smaller, whoop-de-doo, they help, their job is movement. You could say that flagella, the cells move when the flagella whips its hair back and forth. I said whip its hair back and forth. Again, guys, I don't make that, I'm just kind of spitting here, you know? I don't write this down. Okay, we're almost there. Cell membrane. So we're going to talk about the cell membrane later this week, and the cell membrane is going to be kind of a big part of what we talk about for the next couple weeks. Its job is to make sure, it's kind of like the, let's say, border patrol. Make sure things are going in and things are going out. The right things are going in, the right things are going out. That was not a political comment. It was just a comment on, it regulates what goes in and out of the cell. Okay, certain things have to come in, certain things have to go out. That's the cell membrane's function, and that's all I need you to know right now. We'll talk more about the hydrophobic, hydrophilic, and the phospholipid bilayer later. Central vacuole. Okay, so now we're talking about plant stuff. So plants, remember, they can't move, right? They can't move to get water. So they are stuck. So they have to conserve water, and they do that through the vacuole. So the vacuole is huge, right? The vacuole is this big, giant thing in here. And what it does, it stores water. So when they go through periods of drought, that they have water reserves. Chloroplasts, same thing. So what their job is, basically, they create the energy. They create glucose from chemical energy, or I'm sorry, from light energy. So they take light energy, NRG, and they turn it into chemical energy, right? That chemical energy is called glucose. And then that glucose goes to the mitochondria where it's broken down into ATP. Awesome. Cell wall, you know how this works. Because cells can't move, they need their cells to have structure. Okay, so if there's periods of doubt, believe me, tell me about it, plant cells. If there's periods of drought, that their cells can, their cell will be protected. So that's basically what it does. Plant cells, all the same, but they do have chloroplasts, chromoplasts, cell wall, big vacuole, and they're green. And guys, that's it. What? So what I want you to do is write down some questions you have. Give me 3 questions because I want to make sure that I answer all of them so we can move on and talk about other fun things. All right, beautifuls. Thank you.